Hey, happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to another Chamber Check-In episode from Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber. Today, I'm really excited to feature a brand new chamber member. They're called Boise SavAtree, and they are your one-stop shop for all tree service for residential and commercial. And we have district manager with us today, Sean McInerney. Hi, Sean.
Paul, thanks for having us.
And we have sales lead with us today, Zach Zender. Hi, Zach.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, thanks for taking some time with me today. I've had a couple meetings with you, Zach, and Maddie, who's on your team, who's here today, working behind the scenes. And you meet people and you have lunch with people, and you know when those folks really care about their business. And during our conversation, I felt how much you care about what the business is and your people, most importantly. And so today's episode, we get to help share what you're all about. And so I'm so excited to do that. But first, I mentioned I'm talking about services. We're going to talk about, the history and when this all started. But first, let's meet you two and help share a little bit about your backgrounds. So, Sean, why don't you give us a little plug on what you're all about, your history of work, and what led you to becoming an arborist and getting into the tree business?
Sure. Thanks, Paul. Thanks to the chamber, too. I'm Sean McInerney. I am currently a district manager for SaveAtree, so I have purview over the Pacific Northwest. We have locations in Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon, and here in Boise, Idaho. I've been in Boise for 13 years and have somewhat of varied past from employment and also where I have called home, but got here about 13 years ago and actually entered into a totally different space, really working in intellectual property defense and sort of anti-counterfeiting, copyright, trademark, that whole world. And I stayed there for about 7 years until I reached a point where I just had a yearning to get back outside. My background was, when I lived in Portland, Oregon, was in timber resources and landscape construction and general construction. And I've sort of split my life equally between more white collar and more blue collar work. But I really had a yearning to get back outside. And I felt I had done what I wanted to do in the IP world. So interestingly enough, our office at that time was downtown Boise and right near the Secretary of State's office. And I wandered on down and asked if anybody had the name Boise Tree registered. And the clerk told me no, and I asked what it would cost to register that name and become Boise Tree. And that was the beginning of Boise Tree. And that was me and a couple dogs in a pickup truck. And, over the years, I got my first employee, and then I got my third employee and my fifth. And then a few years ago, I met Zach, and we met right here where we're sitting today. He joined the team as an experienced crew lead and certified arborist. And then he wound his way into a sales position. And about this time, about February 25th of 2023, we sort of finalized the deal with SaveAtree, which is a national tree care company who has 90 branches across the United States.
Wow.
We were approached in late 2022, and by, early 23, the deal was inked and we merged and partnered with SavAtree.
Wow. That's an incredible story. And I can't wait to expand on that. Hey, Zach, tell us a little bit about you and your background and how did you meet Sean?
A little bit about me. Hi, I'm Zach. I grew up here in Boise, was raised here. And how first I got into arboriculture is I was actually going to pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor. Then decided that, as kind of like Sean, that I wanted to be outside. I grew up climbing trees out in the Boise Greenbelt and living in the forests, and decided that I wanted to become a tree doctor instead. So I went to work for a company where I continued to learn how to prune, remove trees, and then become a certified arborist after having about 4 years in the tree world. And once I saw a now hiring sign from Boise Tree, is when I put in a resume over to Sean, and again met right here, and always had the goal to do something more than just prune and remove trees within Boise and really advocate for the trees, be an advocate for the trees here, which led me into a more sales and consultation role, and that's where I am now.
Yeah, Paul,
Wow.
Zach, we were sitting not far from where we're sitting now, and he's applying to the job, and to be a certified tree climber and an operator. And in the same breath of air told me that, he wanted to own his own tree company someday. And I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, are you going to be my competition? And I think I've coerced him to stay, which has been a boon for us because he's, he knows his trees. He's a great team member and obviously great with the clients. So it's my good fortune to have Zach and so many of our other colleagues, on our team.
What I think is really cool is that you both started out not even thinking about being in the industry. And then with your talent and expertise and time, how it morphed into where you are, that's going to make you better, actually. And I really like that, from wanting to be in the medical sphere to being in the tech world, right? I think that it just is a full circle of knowledge that you have to know to be entrepreneurs, to be business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it leads well to what you're doing. Hey, let's continue going. You mentioned how SavAtree was born, and there's and that really cool story of you going down and finding out if Boise Tree was taken already. I think that's really cool. And to much surprise from you, it wasn't. So you got to get it. How much did you spend for that, by the way?
$100 bill. I couldn't believe it. I said that's a $10,000 name for a $100 bill. I think that's the best investment I've ever made.
Okay.
In my life.
All right. Well, Sean and Zach, we both know how important our people are. So, Zach, tell us a little bit about your team. How many years collectively do you have experience, and how many arborists and teammates do you have?
As a collective group, we have probably over about 60 to 70 years of experience between all of us here in the Boise staff. One of the biggest proponents of Boise Tree and what Sean did was he wanted to hire professionals and hire certified arborists to be the crew leads and the people actually performing the work, not just have one person who owns the company that was certified and have a bunch of guys go out that were just doing what they were told to do, hire better, basically. So currently we have 6 certified arborists on staff, and at peak times, we're a little slow right now, but we have about 20 employees ranging from office with Maddie and Nick all the way to a mechanic full-time at our yard.
One of the things I did, Paul, it was a non-negotiable for me, was that anybody who was going to lead a crew would be ISA certified. So that's the International Society of Arboriculture. And they're sort of the worldwide or global sort of authority, governing body that administers the certification and ensures the knowledge is there when somebody does receive that accreditation, that ISA. So that really means a lot. That's a 200 question test. It's at minimum 3 years in the green industry, documented that you've been working, with trees and in landscapes to even apply for this. But that was rule number one, that if you're going to lead a crew, you were ISA certified. And then certainly if you're going to be on the sales staff and matriculate from crew to sales, where you're consulting with all of our residential and commercial clients, that you're also have that accreditation. And you can't be a salesperson unless you've run a crew and been on a crew and climbed the trees and know the species and know the pathogens that they, are afflicted by, and all the different sort of stressors that trees in the urban environment can face. So that's been a really that's been one of my few rules, and it's been a really great one because it's ensured, high standards, good quality assurance, and that we know what we're talking about when we're talking with our customers.
So Boise SavAtree, from what I'm understanding, has national accreditation, certified arborists, fully insured, right? That's what you want in a service organization. You want them to be top of the list. You want them to be insured and certified. So thanks for helping share that.
Yeah.
And one of the things I know that SavAtree is known for is its highest quality of service standards, business ethics, and customer satisfaction. Maybe just talk a little bit about that highest quality and service expectations, Zach, just for a few minutes.
Well, I think as myself being in sales and also running a crew for a long time, is that 100% customer satisfaction is what we're going for. Whether that can be through talking about what's healthiest for the tree compared to cutting off a major lead just because it doesn't seem safe to some people. And really having that understanding and that knowledge base to be able to walk someone through why we are doing what we're doing. That's a really huge part on getting customer satisfaction for me. In terms of the accreditations, I mean, like Sean was just saying, there's a rule that we have to be certified here, and we do follow the ANSI 300 standards on how we write down estimates to everyone, how we're diagnosing and treating all of these trees, and how we portray that to a crew, a foreman who's also an ISA certified arborist, to go perform that work, or our applicator to go inject the trees or do a spray that is safe for the environment, safe for the trees, and really making everything healthier and better.
And
I love it.
Yeah, and I'd add to that, Paul, that just, when we were Boise Tree, when it was me, and then I got my first employee and then my second employee, I used to always tell them every morning, I said, boys, we're never going to make any money, but we're going to do something amazing today. And, maybe buy the beer afterwards. And it was like, you make the customers happy. That was always what I would tell Zach and the crew, is that we're going to be the Mercedes-Benz of tree work. We're going to be the gold standard. And as the name suggests, when we partnered with SavAtree, as their name suggests, their main focus is preservation, save a tree. And the company started in Bedford Hills, New York in 1978 as a single branch. And in the last several decades has grown sort of from the eastern seaboard west all the way to, California, Portland, Seattle. And their main focus has always been in tree preservation, which I think that alone sets the company apart from a lot of tree care, if you will, providers, whether it's in this city or any other city you want to choose. And that focus on preservation is something that really means a lot to people who really are in it to win it in this industry. Because obviously trees in general, with a changing climate or with, wildfires in California, they're facing a lot of adversity. And urban trees that live in our cities and line our streets and our neighborhoods, have tremendous odds stacked against them for their well-being, whether that's soil compaction or asphalt and concrete radiating heat to, automobile exhaust to, you just name it and it's there. And it's sort of a different world than true forests, where trees can thrive as they were sort of intended to. So it's been a great ride, and it's a kick to work with a company whose core value is making customers happy, doing what's best for the tree, and keeping our boys safe, the guys who are in the field, because the guys in the field really constitute the largest tranche of employees. This company has 3,500 employees across the country. Wow. And the guys and the gals in the field who are doing the work and climbing the trees and cleaning up the yards, safety is, there's not a meeting in this company that doesn't start with safety. So it's a really nice job because the priorities are simple: make people happy, keep people safe, and do what's the best thing for trees. It's a great those are great marching orders.
You're coaching me on urban canopy preservation, and I'm going to get better at that, Sean. But let's go through some of the services, and I'll kind of help follow along here through the website. So, you do residential and you do commercial. Tell us a little bit about the Boise Urban Canopy and how SaveAtree is helping.
I'm going to jump in.
I'll just file
jump in when you're ready, man. Well, Boise's an interesting, I mean, every city's different. And Boise's, we've got the river cutting right through it. And you've got the original species that were here that really are almost non-residential species. You've got, you've got Russian olive, you've got cottonwood, we have some maple varietals, we have elms. And what we find from neighborhood to different neighborhood are different species. But if you take the North End, for instance, there's a lot of American elm down there. There's a lot of trees that were introduced, like the silver maple, which really were planted ubiquitously as shade provisioners, because before the advent of air conditioning, a big silver maple with a huge canopy could shade a tree and make it livable in the summer months, especially a 2-story home where the upstairs is going to be super hot. And that's one of the things that we try to preserve in our urban canopy in Boise is the shade provisioning, the cooling effects that trees can afford all of us. And it's amazing when you build, cities of concrete, steel, glass, asphalt, how much of a heat bubble we create doing all that work.
Right.
And how much trees really naturally counteract that, along with providing habitat for birds, squirrels, insects, pollinators, all the helpful things that we may not think about. They beautify our city, they clean our air. And so in terms of livability and habitability of a city, the amount of trees and the type of trees really matter. So Zach and I and the whole crew, there are invasive species that we absolutely don't want. There's some Asiatic elm trees that are very common and pervasive in Boise. And when we see those, especially if they're in the wrong place in a residential setting, we advocate sometimes to remove those trees because they reproduce too quickly and they basically outcompete our native trees and will do more long-term damage than good by keeping it. So we do sometimes remove trees. As this picture would show, that's a tree we had fallen. We've limbed all the limbs off of it and we're bucking it up to take away the wood, where we do a tremendous amount of wood recycling. So after these trees are felled, if the wood is viable, we partner with the Treasure Valley Canopy Network and the Urban Wood program, and getting good millable wood to local craftsmen who can repurpose that wood and make furniture. We make a lot of firewood. We donate a lot of wood to other guys and gals that want to sell firewood or heat their homes. So we try to keep the circle of life going after removal. Zach can jump in. Like basically anything you can do to a tree, we do it. This is one of the things.
I think even besides just pruning, removals, and stump grinding, what we're really focusing on throughout Boise is plant health care. And trying to with all the stress that these trees are seeing, they're becoming so susceptible to diseases and insects that will inevitably kill them. So we're really focusing on diagnosing a lot of these fungal-borne pathogens, bacterial pathogens, harmful insects, and what we can do to prolong those trees' lives that we so very much love, not just the young trees and cut down one and plant 3, but really preserving those large 60-year-old trees that with preventative maintenance and a little bit of action, we can help them live another 20 to 30 years instead of 5.
I love it. We saw a bunch of pictures of some of the services that you provide, but I just kind of want to go through some bullet points here. Commercial services include apartments, HOAs, condos, and co-ops, office parks, golf courses, country clubs, hospitality, hotels, right? Your city government, your all of your municipalities, public gardens, arboretum, schools and colleges. I just think that there's so much that through this urban canopy preservation that SavAtree can help with. And I've got your website and phone number direct to Maddie, who's waiting for those calls, or she's going to call you.
Yes, indeed.
BoiseTree.com. Give them a call. Hey, is there anything else for the last couple of minutes you want to educate the public on while we have you, Zach and Sean?
Well, I mean, I just, I wanted to thank you, Paul, and obviously the Chamber for having us, and it's great to join forces. No, just that we're available. We have very presentable, I would say, courteous staff. Anybody you meet with from our crew is going to know what they're talking about. So they're talking turkey. I think we articulate the value proposition very clearly, what we're going to do, why we're going to do it, and this is going to be the price. And we try to make that fair, and we try to make that commensurate with the service that we're going to perform. The work is inherently dangerous. We do everything we can to mitigate that danger because we've got guys that are 60 feet in the air with chainsaws. It's not obviously exactly what your mother would want you to do, is to be a tree guy, but we do it, and I think we do it really well. And we've had the good fortune of working with HOAs, office parks, malls, cemeteries, golf courses. We've done it all, and so there's really no terrain that to us is insurmountable. There's never been a tree that we've met that we haven't been able to either get to the top of and back down safely. And so whether it's a residential client or a commercial client, we're equipped to do it. We've got the tools. We've got probably just under $2 million worth of equipment to give us the mechanical advantage to make all that happen. And we operate efficiently, but we definitely with the right dose of care and the right pace. So I think having our crews on site from a liability or exposure standpoint is pretty minimal given the type of work we're doing.
Awesome. Zach, anything else?
That was pretty well spoken. I also want to say thank you, Paul, and thanks to the Chamber. It's been a great opportunity. I look forward to coming out to any properties or sites that we get out of this. So.
Awesome. Well, Sean and Zach, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for your investment in the Chamber and what you're doing for the community. I think it's bigger than you can even think about. And I look forward to cheersing you at an after hours here soon. Bye, you guys.
Bye, everyone.